Pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome into the Hoover High School Coaches Show. We welcome all the people who are here at Beef O'Brady's and welcome those of you who are watching at home or maybe watching it on delay. But I'm Jeff Lloyd, along with the head coach of the Hoover Bucks, and that, of course, is Chip English. And the Bucks coming off a big win on Friday night to get back to the 500 mark, now 3-3, and now everything's looking up.
It is. Glad to get a good win against a really good football team in Parker. So happy how the guys responded and continue to respond, right? The big thing with what we're trying to do is, obviously we're getting back to 500, which is weird to say, but that was the reality. We had to fight back to get even. And now it's time to kind of continue that moving forward.
Kind of flipped the script a little bit in this last ball game. In the past, you've gotten down and had to fight to come back, and you got out in front by a big margin and had to fight to hold on. It was a tense ball game for me, at least.
It was. Unfortunately, we gave up some points in the fourth, and it was a string of events just like before in other games. But it was right there at the end. Thought we really played well. They stoned us on the first drive, and it was like, oh wow, we got to do some things, and we got it going offensively and defensively. Played lights out for most of the game, and was able to do some really good things. Spread the ball around, and Jonah went over 100 yards receiving, and Caleb actually really ran the ball well at times, and so did some good things. And in the fourth quarter, it just kind of they had a quick score. We had a pick six. They had another quick score, and all of a sudden, our 28-point lead diminished very fast. So it was one of those things where glad we were able to finish, and they pulled it in within 3 at one point, and we ended up scoring, and they scored again, and they tried for an onside kick. So very exciting game. I wish we could have finished like we started. Our big thing is to start fast and finish strong. Unfortunately, we were able to finish with a win, and that was the ultimate goal, but would like to clean some things up for sure.
I know we've talked in the past, and other people have talked about, can you put two halves together back to back? And you had a great second half against Prattville, and then you started out and had the great first half, although you had the block punt, and they went ahead 7-0, but after that, you guys rolled.
Yeah, we dominated. And the big thing with that is just, we call it operations, right? We got to do the little things right consistently and find ways to put a full game together because, and hopefully we can do that over the next several weeks, because as we get into November or late October, you better put everything together in order to win football games. And so we're still figuring that out. Guys are coming along. We had some really good players come step up in some spots, but just got to clean some stuff up.
And I know that one of the things that you wanted to do and you were able to do against Prattville was establish the running game, but they were very stingy against the run on Friday night. Parker.
Yeah, defensively, Coach Warren does a great job, and the personnel that he has over there is outstanding. Yeah. And, led by Vodney Cleveland, the big Texas commit on the interior. So they moved him around. They did some good things, making sure he was on some single or ISO blocks, and he was able to win. And we knew that going in. We knew, the matchups aren't always going to be in our favor. We found a way to distribute the ball, get the ball out of Caleb's hands quickly into our playmakers' hands, and was able to do so a lot of good, even with all the receivers, really. They all had touches, and so we're finding a way. But, yeah, their box play is really good. And we did clip 100 yards rushing, but we would have liked to have some of those plays back where, they wasn't necessarily bust, but we just could have done better in the blocking.
Break down the very first play that they scored on the punt, and then that was blocked, and then they fall on it. Second week in a row that you've fallen behind with a touchdown in your own end zone.
Yeah, again, it's just unfortunate, right? You get put in a situation, and then, our big thing is you don't make a bad play worse, and we did. And so back there in the end zone, Grant picks the ball up. Our personal protector actually backs up, and we actually kick it into him. So operationally, we got to clean that up, and we worked on that specifically this week and making sure we're cleaning that up. And we have a couple different punting styles that we'll use, and we're gonna exhaust all options to make sure we get it right. And so I think we're gonna do that. And the big thing is, like, mistakes are okay, but you can't make them over and over again. And so we definitely want to make sure our operations are cleaned up, our personal protectors not backing up, we block the guys that we need to block up front. And so if we do that, we'll be fine.
How do coaches, and yourself particularly, how do you keep from being a fan on the sideline? Because I know the fans are like, oh my gosh, and they're worried and they're excited and they get histrionic and all the things that go with the emotions. You got to keep your head in those situations.
Well, the big thing is in preparation. So throughout the week, we want to put the players in a position so when they get out there on Friday, nothing's new. And likewise, to be honest with you, as a head coach, I got to put my staff in those positions as well and make sure that we're practicing, backed up in our own end zone, goal line, third down and short, third down and long. And I make, Coach LeBeau does a great job. I give him situations in practice. He comes up with a script. I do the same thing with Coach Reeves. Hey, here's the situation. This is what we got to prepare for. So in the game, it feels like we've already done that. And emotions are high for sure, and our adrenaline is going in that situation. But honestly, on our call sheets, on Coach Reeves' call sheets, he knows what he's going to call on third and long. He knows what he's going to call on third and short, based on personnel and formation. And so our coaches do a really good job in preparation. So during the game, we can dial it in and make sure we're making those corrections when the guys come off to the sideline. It's one thing to say, go out there and block them. Well, that's easy to say, right? But coaches make sure we break it down. Likewise, in the secondary or up front defensively, we have to read blocks and keys. And our coaches make sure we do that and make those adjustments on the sideline.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about game prep and how that works in terms of going into a particular opponent. So you have Parker, you know what their strengths are. How do you set out how much is scripted, and then the game's going to dictate what happens from then on, isn't it?
A lot of it. We know what we like on third and long or maybe third and short, or we have a couple packages that we put together, and defensively is very similar. Defensively, it's very personnel-oriented, right? So if they have two tight ends in the game, we're calling this. If they have, no tight ends, no backs, and all wide receivers, then we're going to be in this. So a lot of it's dictated. But at the same time, instead of being reactive to the offense or defense, we want to be proactive, and we want to make sure that we're kind of setting the tone with that. And we do that, especially offensively, we can with our formations and personnels. And, that we look throughout the week, well, how do they treat a tight end? How do they line up? How do they do four wide? Or how do they handle empty? And then we base what we want to do, of course, within our system, based on how they're lining up. And then throughout the week, our scout teams give us that exact look like we think. Now, the tough part about that is both offensively and defensively, they're practicing too. Yeah. And so we call them wrinkles. So like an offense might run this play over and over and over again. Well, they're going to run the play, but they might give a different personnel. They might give a different formation, a different motion, and run the same play. And so those are the wrinkles that we have to adjust every single week. And as you go deeper and deeper into the season, your playbook or your variations of plays kind of grow both offensively and defensively.
So when you get ready to map out your year, your season, you hold some plays back, and you throw out the whole thing out at the beginning of the season?
Well, you definitely you don't hold them out in the scenario that like, hey, I only want to use this for this team. Mm-hmm. What we do is we show a formation, right, and then we build off that. So you can't get to step D without starting with A, and you have to show it and then do that. Show it, and you're almost baiting them into something, and then you're able to do that, right? So if you always line up defensively in a certain formation and you always blitz when the linebacker is stacked, well, week 2 you might not. In week 3 you might do it, show it, and then bail out. So there's a lot of different scenarios that you do try to build. And there's certain situations where if we know a defense is giving us this look, we know this play is good against that. So we won't run it in weeks prior because you do want to have an element of surprise, right? An element of newness where they have to make those adjustments.
Yeah. Just getting back to that game against Parker this past week, you made the comment that you knew that Parker was going to make a run at some point in that ball game. They're too good a team, and the fact they're the defending state champions at 6A and one of the top teams in the state, regardless of classification, you just knew that they were going to have a run.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go into the locker room and you're up and you feel good about what you've done in the first half, both offensively and defensively, you know, I told the guys, hey, it's not over. 2, they're going to make a push. How are you going to respond? Now, obviously, we didn't know it was going to be a 29-point push in the fourth quarter, but we knew that something was going to happen. They're too good of a team just to go by the wayside. So, you know, again, they made their push. We were able to score and come away with a victory. So, good job for our players, our coaching staff. We just can't put ourselves in that situation because really it was about a 4-play. You know, they score on the first play of the drive. We throw a pick 6 on the first play of the drive. I think they score on the second play of the next drive. So it's 3 scores in a matter of 5 plays. So it happened really, really quick, and we got to be able to stop the bleeding, if you will, on some of that stuff. And but give them credit, they responded, and our guys did too, and thankfully we found a way to win.
I think the play that iced it was the touchdown on the pass to the running back, you know, JR, and he was able to go down on our side when we're on the home side, our sideline, and go in for the touchdown. At that point, I thought, you know, just looking for the first down. He gets the touchdown. You made the comment you thought that they called the wrong play or did it wrong or something?
We called the absolute right play. I thought the quarterback probably could have came back to the jailbreak screen to the boundary, but give them credit. You know, that was still a good play. Caleb made the right decision. The other way would have worked out as well. Maybe not as good, but sometimes, you know, that's the reason why there's a little bit of freedom, right? Especially offensively, is let the guys play a little bit. And Caleb does a great job of, you know, just kind of making plays in big situations. And obviously JR does what he does. And his will to win or you know, he several times on 3rd down, it was 3rd and 2, and it might not have been there, but he just made it happen. And his will to win is it's really, really impressive. And so when you have guys like that on your team, you trust them to play. And JR made a phenomenal play. Hunter Purdue made a great block right there at the end. And, you know, the rest is history. So real proud of their effort right there, Caleb, JR, and Hunter, and obviously the offensive line and everybody involved. So it could have worked either way. I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Caleb Freeman, who is your quarterback, shows that he is a dual threat, not just passing the football, but he was able to break free and get, I think, scored 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, and they were short touchdowns, or the 2 was, because he is a bigger body. You know, people don't necessarily expect him to be a runner, but there were several times where he picked up the first down. I think he had a 19-yard run at one point, so really impressive with his decision-making skills at this point in the year. They've progressed throughout the time. He's not necessarily pressing the ball anymore. He'll tuck it down and get what he can, and that's a sign of maturity, a sign of growth, and he's really able to do that. So I was glad to see him pull the ball down. And you know, early in the year he might have forced it into a tough spot, maybe turned the ball over. He didn't do that. He really took his time and then utilized his athleticism. He's sneaky fast. We always play with him, but when he decides to run, he goes.
Yeah. We're at B4 Brady's, and this is the Hoover High School Coaches Show, and we are always glad to see you if you come out here on a Wednesday night. We'll be here again next Wednesday. The Bucks play this coming Friday night on the road at Oak Mountain. We'll be talking about that in just a second, but I want to tell you a little bit about B4 Brady's. This is a brand new menu, it looks like to me, and they have something called the Triple Meal Deal. And you get a starter, which could be an appetizer, and then you also are going to get the meal and fries, and then along with that you get a fountain drink or iced tea, and they have 3 different options there. That's $10.99, $13.99, and $16.99. Guy did a couple of games with us at the start of the season on the broadcast, is here tonight, Chandler Fullman, and he mentioned the other day, he said, I've never had a bad meal at B4 Brady's, and that's true. And of course, this is wing night on Wednesday, and that's what that's our default. We usually go to that, but we encourage you to come out and join us here at Beef O'Brady's, and we thank the good folks here for letting us do this every Wednesday at Beef O'Brady's. So come out, see them, see what they have to offer on the menu, and also thank them for being a sponsor of Hoover football. Well, Coach, you're back to 500 on the regular season, on the schedule. Now a chance to get back to 500 in region play as you play Oak Mountain this coming Friday night.
Yeah, 4 region games left. You know, I kind of told the guys that we're in playoff mode. So Oak Mountain, going to Oak Mountain this year, and you know, they do a good job. They mix it up really well, offensively and defensively. So we have our hands full schematically, and guys got to go out there, and they've had a good week mentally and physically, but really got to make sure that they're focused on their keys, both offensively and defensively. So excited about it. You know, the guys are getting ready. We want a winning record, so this is an opportunity to do that, and we're chomping at the bit to get over there.
This will be your 3rd consecutive road game. You guys have played well on the road.
We have. You know, sometimes that setting is a little bit different, getting them away from, you know, home. But honestly, I think our guys are just ready to play, whether it's home or away. But you know, they're when you give an opportunity to go out there, you know, people don't realize it's not basketball or baseball where you're getting 20 or 30 games. You know, you're guaranteed 10 games, and so the value on each and every game is huge. And so we really, really value this game, and we need to go out there and put it all together operationally, special teams. You know, I had to call several timeouts last week again due to personnel changes and different things that I shouldn't have had to do. And we just got to clean that up. And I think we're doing that throughout the week of preparation and ready to go out and get another region win.
Well, give us a scouting report on Oak Mountain. First of all, let's tell us about what to look for out of them offensively.
Yeah, they mix it up. They're RPO team. Shotgun, you'll see a lot of what we call sniffer or you know, that running or the tight end type fullback guy. But they mix it around a lot. They run some speed option, and they like to run the RPO where they'll fake it, and it's kind of like a play action pass. And so they do a good job of making sure we're not only, you know, we're not defending half the field, we're defending the entire field. So they mix it up to the field, to the boundary, and do some things with that. They get their athletes out in space. So our guys are going to have their hands full defensively and making sure that we're, you know, really getting on their legs, tackling them. You know, we've done a great job of progressing throughout the year of not necessarily tackling high, we're tackling low. And so that's getting better, and we're going to have to do that Friday night. And then offensively, you know, we got our hands full. Their nose squeezes the ball and strikes the center every single snap. And so, which doesn't seem, well, don't they do that anyway? Not necessarily. He makes it a point, their nose guard, to really come off the ball. And then I think the strength of their team is in their secondary. They have some high-profile guys with some big-time offers in the secondary. But what stands out about those guys is they have three back there that's 6'1 or 6'2", 180, 185 pounds. And so with that type of range and speed, you know, the passing lanes go from this to that. And so we're going to have to be disciplined in what we're doing and really make sure we're making great decisions at the quarterback position. And then, you know, worried about our spacing with the wide receivers, really making sure that we're creating space so one guy can't guard 2 people. So have our hands full, and I think our guys are prepared and they're ready to go.
Yeah. One of the things you talked about the run-pass option thing, and you guys have been doing that. One of the things that I think that Caleb Freeman does as well as any quarterback I have seen is hiding the football, because a lot of times he's picked me off. I know he's picked off the defense, and you think he's handing it off or he's not handing it off or whatever. He does a great job.
He rides it so long, and what it does is it makes the longer you ride it, the more decision time that you get from a quarterback. And so we make it a point of emphasis to go from back hip to front hip. He goes a little bit farther. He might even shuffle to give him some more time to read it. But it's worked for him. It's a gift that not all quarterbacks can do. I was not able to do that when I played. So him being able to kind of really shuffle and still keep his eyes down the field has been really impressive. And so it just gives him a little bit more time to read the DBs or defensive end or linebackers, and it's we've had a lot of success from it.
Another thing he does well, and that's part of the game plan, I guess, for you guys, is that on third and short, the cadence, changing the cadence, and he's pulled the defense offside I don't know how many times and gotten yourself a first down because of the penalty.
Yeah, and that's just something that's built into our offense. Coach LeBeau and those guys work on that daily to make sure that we can vary the snap count and make sure those defensive linemen or the blitzing linebackers, they can't just tee off on us. And so we do a good job, and Caleb manages that because he has to at the quarterback position. And, it takes our offensive line being very disciplined in their movement and their eyes. It's not always easy to not move when someone's coming at you. So those guys do a really good job. And then our wide receivers, we try to create some chaos in practice. And so those wide receivers aren't necessarily listening to Caleb. They're watching the ball. And that's taught from day one. And, so that's definitely in the arsenal. We've picked up several first downs throughout the year that way, and hopefully we can continue.
Yeah. 45 points last week, 48 points the week before. The offense looks like it's clicking now.
I think so. We're distributing the ball really well. 2 weeks ago against Prattville, we rushed for over 300. Last week we threw for, I think, 280, rushed for just over 100. And that was a really good defense last week. So being able to put the points on the board that we did and move the ball effectively, it's where we want to be. So like last week was week 6, and before that 5. So like at this point in the year, earlier in the year we talked about the inexperience from our offensive line, inexperience from, some guys, the skill position. So we're putting it all together, and we have to do that as a team. And defensively has had some really, really good games. But we need to put a whole game together. And so putting up those points definitely gives you an opportunity to win. And so we don't plan on stopping anytime soon, hopefully. So it's one of those deals. Glad to see the offense clicking. Glad to see the coaching staff starting to establish some patterns in what we're doing. And it's coming together.
Yeah, and one of the things going back to Friday night's game is I felt good about the outcome of that ball game because your defense had not given up anything in the first half at all. The only points they had basically was something that the defense had scored.
Yeah, I mean, all the way up through the third quarter, defense was just absolutely lights out. I think they ended up throwing for 250 plus, but I think their rushing was right around 100 yards for the entire game. So they averaged, I think, right at 2 yards or less in the rush. So defensively, we played really well. Again, the sequence of events on some of the long balls really hurt us, right there at the end and allowed the game to be close. But Coach Reeves and that staff does a really good job with those guys and preparing them, knowing what's in front of them. And when you have the talent that we do, coupled with the coaching and everything involved, you can have a great product. And I think we're getting to that point as a team collectively, and it's just a matter of putting it all together.
And you don't want to peak in week 2, that's for sure. And it looks like you guys are getting to the point where you're really becoming a playoff
Well,
team.
it's all about moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
You're building the depth throughout the year. You're building that cohesiveness throughout the year. And because so many guys, both offensively and defensively, hadn't played a lot of snaps together, we're starting to get into that mode a little bit, and it's fun to watch. Each week we try to challenge the guys and make sure that nothing is easy, right? We always playing with an edge. And I'm going to tell you the thing that's really, really impressed me. We challenged our team, and I challenged our staff. We got to play and coach with excitement. Last time I checked, football's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And but the problem is it's fun when you win. So how do we make it fun? We win. And we've done that the last 2 weeks. And you've seen, hopefully, the fans and everybody's seen a different level of excitement on the sideline. And that's intentional. And sometimes, we feed off of that. We feed off of our energy or off of the people that are around us. And so even in a bad situation, we're cheering our guys on. We're making sure that those guys know we have their back from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint. So it's nice to see everything start molding together.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight, and we're going to invite you to stay tuned. We're going to have some highlights from the game that you'll enjoy watching. Patrick Devers, who shoots the sideline stuff, does a great job putting that together. And so we're going to show that to you in just a second. But we want to remind you that we'll have the broadcast here on the NFHS Network beginning at 6:45, and then we'll have the kickoff at 7. And we'll be back here next Wednesday. Even though the Bucs are going to play on Thursday next week, we're not worrying about that game yet. We'll worry about that after Friday night. But we want you to join us out at Oak Mountain. It's another road game. The Bucs have become road warriors, and they're going to play their third straight road game and look to get back to even in Region 3 and then make a push for the playoffs and down on out. It's going to do it for us. We're going to let you now watch the highlights from the Parker game. For Coach English, I'm Jeff Lloyd, and we'll talk to you next week.
Go Bucks.
2, 3, go, let's go!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Hoover High School football as we are at Parker High School tonight. I'm Jeff Lloyd along with Ariel Schaefer. We're glad to have you tuned in tonight, and it should be a pretty good night for competition here at Parker High School. And the option and a keeper, and he throws it downfield. Got a man. That's Winston. That's a touchdown.
A perfect opportunity for the Bucs to strike back, right back in this thing.
Up under center, and he is in. Freeman going to step up. He's going to run, but he's going to get in for the touchdown. His second touchdown of the night.
Besides Winston, it's also been the Caleb Freeman show.
Going to hand the ball off this time, and that's going to be a touchdown for the Bucs as they turn the corner, and that was Cowley that time.
You can see how dominant and how much depth is in the backfield.
Swing it out, and it's caught by Mosley. Mosley tries to get free. He does get free. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's got the first down, and he's got a touchdown.
What a story. Able to come in and capitalize and put the team on his back.
Can't say enough about our guys and the resiliency that they have. For us to be able to score right there at the end with JR, and Hunter Purdue made a great block over there, just says what kind of team we are. So proud of them, got to get back to work next week. When you win, there's momentum built, and that's what happened tonight. So for us to be able to come away against a really, really good opponent, one of the best teams in the state, says a lot about our guys and our coaching staff.